What's up guys, JV2017 here, and I am very excited to share the new Far Harbor trailer that Bethesda just released this morning, as well as the release date for the DLC, which is officially May 19th. In this video, I'm going to be pausing and breaking down the trailer to look for as many details as possible so we can know what to expect for Far Harbor. I've left a link in the description below to the unedited trailer, and I highly encourage that you all go and watch that first if you haven't already before continuing with this video. And as always, if you see anything that I may have missed in the trailer, please feel free to share it in the comments below so we can all get as much as possible out of this trailer. Let's go ahead and start from the beginning.
Please, bring my daughter home.
We've paid our dues in blood and bullets. This is our fight. Our island. Not yours.
First, we get a really cool shot of this boat arriving at Far Harbor, and if this is anything like Point Lookout, this is going to be the way that we enter and start this DLC. In fact, this really reminds me of that creepy ferryman that brought us to Point Lookout, and so I think we can assume we'll be able to find this somewhere in the mainland vanilla part of the game and then ride it to Far Harbor, but we can already tell pretty much how big this area is. We're going to get a lot more shots showing the size and scale of this area, but it reminds me of chunks of downtown Boston. It's pretty large as far as we can see so far. Before we move on, we've also got some brief narration saying, "Please bring my daughter home." And we know that the whole point of starting this DLC is a new case from Valentine's detective agency. Nick Valentine, of course, our friendly synth companion, leading us on a search for a young woman and a secret colony of synths. We'll just leave it at that for now. Pausing again for just a second here, we get a nice welcome to Far Harbor sign with a friendly looking lobster on the front. And if you weren't following Far Harbor before release, this is based on a real place called Bar Harbor off the coast of Maine on its own island. Here we get another look at the coast of Far Harbor, but front and center is this giant dead creature. We don't know if this is some kind of creature from reality already or some kind of mutated ghoul whale. And this is something I brought up when Far Harbor first released their first screenshot. Some people were pointing it out. Some people thought this was a fence in the distance or some kind of skeleton, and we can clearly tell this is definitely a skeleton. This is no fence. Now taking a look at some of the townsfolk here in the Far Harbor mainland area. As I'm showing you these parts, we get some narration saying, "We've paid our dues in blood and bullets. This is our fight, our island, not yours." So there's some kind of resistance here. We don't know if it's from the townsfolk here at Far Harbor. It seems like it is because they're showing that on screen. We see some basic people fishing, not a lot new going on. I did want to pause right here because we have this kind of machine in the background, and this points exactly to what was leaked on a Bethesda stream for Wasteland Workshop, I believe. This is the Vim machine. So we do know that this item in Workshop is coming, and that might confirm that the rest of the Workshop items that were leaked are coming in this DLC. I'm not 100% on that, but we do know that the Vim machine is definitely coming to Far Harbor. Moving on now, I wanted to pause and point out these spinning light objects. They look to be electrified in some way, and that makes me think that there's some kind of defense object that we will be able to place down in settlements. And if you guys didn't know, we will be able to build new settlements. There are settlement locations in this Far Harbor DLC, so that would make sense to me. Next, we get a look at some of the terrain of this DLC, and as we expected, it's going to be a lot of wooded areas. On this island, Bar Harbor, Far Harbor, that it's located on, there's the Acadia National Forest. This also gives us a nice scale and scope of how much area there is. It looks fairly large, at least from the way they're framing it with these, small bits of video. Tons of fog here and very spooky looking, as people also expected. Now let's continue on with the trailer.
The fog can do a number on you. Get you all turned around.
Couple of interesting things to point out here. First off, this scuba gear looks really legit, and I'm sure this will allow us to breathe underwater. It's completely new. We haven't seen anything like this that we've been able to equip before. Perhaps we'll see the harpoon in this DLC as well. We don't see it in the trailer, but maybe there will be some kind of underwater activities. We really don't know at this point. A little further ahead, we have this giant creature galloping through the water, and we really don't know what this is, but this really reminds me of something I saw in the art book for Fallout, and it looks like the concept for what they had for a Mirelurk Queen before, but of course they didn't go with this design, and so maybe they're repurposing this in a smaller version of some kind of new Mirelurk creature. Next, we hear a bit of narration from this older guy here. We don't know what his name is yet. I don't think it's introduced in this trailer, but he talks about the fog. He says the fog can do a number on you and get you all turned around. I don't know if I'm reading into this too much or he's doing the standard random old guy crazy talk, but I think he may be referring to some kind of psychedelic effect with this fog, similar to what we experienced in Point Lookout. Again, that's a bit of a stretch just from what he said here, but it would be a really cool feature. And we also find him in some kind of bar here, so there will be interesting places to explore within Far Harbor. Just a side note, I know we don't know much about this guy, but I would love a new companion, and I would not be mad if it was some kind of old guy that was a little bit crazy like this dude. Before we move on to the rest of this trailer, oh my god, look at these things. All I can say is I'm going to avoid the water like the plague around these things. These look awful. Nope, 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 nope. They appear to be some sort of mutated anglerfish, and they do not look nice.
Far Harbor has a right to the truth.
The people of Far Harbor need only peer out their windows to look upon the face of Adam himself, given form in holy fog.
First, we see a glimpse of Nick Valentine along with the female soul survivor as she says, Far Harbor deserves to know the truth. Of course, she's channeling her inner Piper. That's something Piper would say. But also, we see some new armor options. We see this cool kind of fishing hat with some lures on the side, which is pretty cool, and also some interesting shoulder guards. They almost look like football pads, but whatever they are, they appear to be new. Here we get to see some severely irradiated land, and this is not something we see outside of the glowing sea, really, in the vanilla game. We don't know if this was already here or if it was brought by the children of Adam to create some kind of settlement, but we do hear from them next. We get narration from some crazy old guy saying, the people of Far Harbor need only peer out their windows to look upon the face of Adam himself, given form in holy fog. To me, that implies that the radiation is the cause of this extreme weird fog that the guy was talking about before. Now we see everyone's favorite group of crazy people in the Commonwealth and in the world of Fallout, the Children of Adam. That guy is worshiping something, and then we've got this big bad guy up here wearing some interesting headgear. Just a brief reminder, the Children of Adam worship all of this radiation, and so they're welcoming all of this radiation, whether they brought it here or it was there already, and so it makes sense that they're congregating in a place that is extremely severely irradiated. This also appears to be some sort of underground settlement for these Children of Adam, and so we don't know if they're going to be friendly, if we can just go up and approach and talk to these people first, or if they're going to be immediately not friendly, immediately our enemies. There were some Children of Adam in the vanilla game that were friendly, but some that would immediately attack on sight, so we don't really know yet. Pausing again here for a few reasons. First off, interesting fog, interesting kind of architecture in the background, looks like a cool area, but the main thing is all of this new armor. This new helmet looks really cool. It almost reminds me of the Master Chief helmet for Halo. I don't know, that just came out of nowhere, but that's what it looks like, and it looks like some sort of gas mask as well on the front part. Same goes with the shoulder pad and whatever's on the back side, so it looks like a full new set of armor that we're going to be able to wear in this new DLC. Next, we get to see a new DLC melee weapon, some sort of hook on a pole. This is probably some standard fishing device, but I don't fish, so hopefully this is strong. We had the Mr. Handy Buzzsaw and the Assaultron Blade. They were okay in Automatron. I hope this is a legitimately really good melee weapon.
I know peace can still be achieved.
Peace? You call murdering one of ours peace?
Quick pause first here to look at this new creature. It looks like a gecko to me. It looks a lot like the way that the geckos in New Vegas would waddle around. So it's curious. I don't really know. Is this a gecko? Is this some sort of, alligator creature? Something up there in Maine that is mutated and is now walking around? We're going to see another really interesting creature here in a second. I really like this next shot because it gives us a glimpse at the size and scope of this DLC. You can see pretty big landmass that we're looking at right here. We've got an observatory on the left side of the screen belonging to somebody. We do have some narration that I'm about to get into, so maybe this is some other kind of settlement. Also, giant windmill, and maybe, just maybe, we can build windmills for power. I think that would be a cool addition to Far Harbor. As we see the flames and this dead dolphin in front of this boat, we can hear the narration, I know peace can still be achieved, by some old guy. We don't know if this is the Children of Adam or the townsfolk. And then someone else responds saying, peace? You call murdering one of our own peace? And as we hear that response, we see this angry looking guy on the left. So maybe that's some kind of spokesperson for the town who's really having some kind of big quarrel with the Children of Adam, which is what it sounds like. So it sounds to me like the Children of Adam have murdered some townsfolk and the townsfolk are angry. They've had it. So we see the townsfolk arming themselves, running past their souvenir shop, which looks interesting. And now we see the Children of Adam with guns. Now, I couldn't tell you exactly what this gun model is, but it's definitely a new weapon. I have not seen this in Fallout 4 so far. I'm not really a gun guy in real life, so I couldn't also identify the weapon. But the guy in the back seems to be appearing. It seems to be shaking him around, and it's automatic. So it could be some kind of heavy machine gun. The gun in the front doesn't look like a heavy machine gun. So some sort of new base model that we can maybe modify to be a certain kind of single shot or maybe a heavy automatic weapon. Remember those anglerfish from like 4 minutes ago? Yeah, they pop out and they do this. And so they do look a lot more intimidating than they did before. I thought it was just going to be some kind of fish that attacks you in the water. No, these things are going to pop out probably if you get close. And we get another look at this giant creature that we saw before scurrying across the water. Looks to be some sort of insect slash sea creature combination. And it would make sense that this would be up in Far Harbor. I'm going to revise what I said earlier. This might not be related to the Mirelurk. It looks like some kind of praying mantis squid lobster variant. I really don't know. It's some kind of crazy being that we will be fighting, and it's pretty large here. We get a better look at this new weapon as well. Some kind of machine gun. Looks like it's got some kind of side handle that you're going to be able to hold on to, and it looks like some kind of net is draped over the top. So maybe some kind of new craftable weapon. Maybe we'll just find it out in the world if it's anything like Automatron. Finally, we see a large explosion somewhere. It could be above where the children of Adam are. It's really anyone's guess at this point, but we've got more of the trailer. Let's move on.
Careful. This could get out of hand real fast.
And finally, to wrap up the trailer, we've got some narration from Nick saying, careful, this could get out of hand real fast. And we've got this new inside location that appears to be the observatory that we saw before. You can see that giant kind of microscope there. And this architecture is clearly the inside of the dome that we saw before. And also, that could mean that that was the colony of synths. Because again, we have some kind of secret colony of synths somewhere. And so maybe that's what that was. And we've got this new synth character. Just some first observations. The face looks eerily similar to Nick's. It's kind of creepy, and it looks like he's the same generation as Nick. Also, we've got a ton of these wires and lights kind of coming out and poking through this character. And who knows? Who knows who this guy really is? We don't know if this guy is an enemy, a friend. We don't know if we've heard his voice in the trailer because we haven't seen him talk. He could very well be the leader of this secret colony of synths. We don't really know. And so it's really anyone's guess at this point. He does look fairly creepy, and we'll find out more when it comes out on May 19th. Anyways, guys, that's really all I have for you and all that I saw. Of course, you guys will be able to see much more than I have, so share all that you see in your observations and your thoughts on Far Harbor as a whole after seeing this trailer in the comments section below. I'm waiting to read them. Alright guys, today I shared my trailer breakdown of the new Far Harbor trailer released this morning for Fallout 4. Next time we'll cover more Fallout on my channel, so stay tuned for Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. If you learned something new or enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for more Far Harbor DLC, my survival mode playthrough, Bethesda.net mods, and general tips and tricks videos. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.